Let's hit that opening credits. Hey everybody, this is Grant Ellis here. I'm the producer of WebDM's Twitch channel, and this is our prep for Night's Black Agent, the Dracula Dossier campaign, which is by Kenneth Haidt. And let me get my light on. Let's turn on some music. Get ready to prep today's session. So we are prepping the 9th session for move this over here. The Dracula Dossier. This is a copy of the Director's Handbook. There are many books associated with the campaign. It's described as collaborative and improvisational, meaning the players are going to introduce a lot of information into the fiction and a lot of ideas and theories and directions of the plot. And this book, in series of books, gives us the tools we need to curate the experience. And it's described as improvisational in that the non-player characters, NPCs, magic items, organizations, and even locations have positioning that can be configured on the fly to change the direction of the campaign. So we might have an NPC such as Dr. Mimit Luxai, the medievalist, who is an expert on all things Dracula. Sometimes he is an innocent, sometimes he's played as a secret agent, sometimes he's played as one of Dracula's minions. And the game gives us the tools on how to handle that. Few things by a matter of record. So, as you've seen, if you're watching this on YouTube beneath this video, or if you're watching this on Twitch in the chat, this game is Night's Black Agents. It is a game that uses the Gumshoe system. It was designed by Kenneth Haidt, based on Gumshoe by Robin Laws, and it is really a highly cinematic, fast-paced vampires versus secret agents RPG. The soundtrack we are using is Dust and Mirrors. Pelgrane has given us the ability to use the soundtrack that they produced to go along with this game, similar to the intro music that we had at the beginning of our video, was also scored specifically for the campaign. And let's get ready to get into this. Hey, I'm having a hard time, Bowman, just so you know. I'm still in an enormous amount of pain. I'm dealing with some health issues right now. For those of you that follow me on Twitter at WisePapaGrant, you are aware. For the audience, I am okay. I am medically cleared to do this stream. And after this stream, I'm going to relax my little heart out. So, let's get into this nonsense. It's not nonsense, it's a game. So there's our vampiric assigned information. So, there's a few things that we want to establish, and we will look at our prep document to do so. First things first, goals for the prep. Let's talk about some of our goals today. First goals. We'll make this a bulleted list. We want to determine Daequan, who is played by Proserpine. Determine Daequan's dukedom. So we've decided that Daequan is a member of the opposition force, Edom, who are attempting to control Dracula. And Daequan, who's one of the player characters, is actually a high-up member of that organization and has been playing double agent the entire time. The second thing, point we want to do is seed the approach to the HMS Proserpine. I'm pronouncing it Proserpine. I listened to several poems that involve the name. Some people say Proserpine, some people say Proserpine. I'm going to say Proserpine for the purpose of this broadcast. So, this is an oil rig. I think we have... This is our cool character artwork. So this is actually where they're headed. So the next thing we're going to do is and then plan an awesome escape and a big boss battle. So I think what my players need this session is they need a pretty intense challenge. They need to be pushed further than they have been. We are going to be down a player. There's a chance we might even need to postpone the session. We will see. But we'll look at our facts right now. So some of the books that we're going to need NBA Handbook, the National Basketball Association, no, NBA Agents, Directors Handbook, excuse me, the Edom Field Manual is one that we need. This has information about them. Accidentally closed. And it may be a multi-part ordeal because there's a lot going on. So let's insert a page break. Some things they need: watercraft, ways to infiltrate, a plan to find Hopkins. We will make all this text larger. We'll sort of give the framework why they're going there as well. So our player characters have learned that the individual that made sure they actually received the copy of the dossier that they have now, they learned that individual was taken captive by Edom, and Edom is going to extract the information out of them and determine If I yawn, I'm running on 30 minutes sleep, so it's unfortunate, but it is who I am and what I am. They are going to extract information about the player character. So let's also do persons of interest. Persons of interest. Hopkins. Ileana Dragoi. Hound, who's a Duke of Edom. Those are 3. There are, and then we'll do what I will call background persona, which is like the Romanian desk agent, lamplighter, all the folks the desk agent named. So these are all things in the background that we may need to touch on, but aren't necessarily going to be important for the session at hand. So we know that we're going to do a few things around this. So a couple other things we want to be mindful of. So they'll need watercraft, ways to infiltrate, a plan to find Hopkins, an escape route. Questions that we need answered. What is a Duke of Edom really? How does Hopkins connect the group to Castle Dracula? Because that's going to be the next big spot after this. And then what we're going to play to find out. What benefit do the players have going to Proserpine first? I'd really like to see if it's a little late in the game, but contacting DM Steve again and get him to return as Varut. Have a Varut Daequan tag team, guns a-blazing, vampire slaying fights. So these are 3 questions that we're going to look to answer. Sweet, sweet oil. Yeah. There's a lot of tools in the Proserpine that is useful for containing, defeating, trapping, and dealing with vampires, because that is a vampire containment facility. All right. So let's start looking at some things. So first things we're going to do, we have the Edom Field Manual and we have the Director's Handbook. Let's check out the other question we're going to look to answer is specifically in regards to dealing with opposition forces. So let's just go down these. So let's look at, in the Director's Handbook, we'll look at the Opposition Forces chapter. Here they are. Quick stats and ability approaches for the opposition, particularly Edom and Dracula's conspiracy. And then the reminder here is that we can change them, omit them, do what we want to with them. So let's drop that. Hey, thank you for the raid, follow Black Cats. Much appreciated, much appreciated. We're just doing a little bit of prep for the Dracula Dossier. So, let's see. So there's going to be Edom personnel that are assigned there. And most members don't have the full picture. Let's look at who... There are a few who even know there is an MI6 section chief codenamed D. Assume it's a jocular reference to being next to C. In truth, the initial stands for Doge, the Edomite herdsman of Saul, who killed even the high priest on the order of his king. The section for research operations keeps a low profile, even by service standards. Its chief, likewise, D, shuttles between Ring and MI6 HQ and Vauxhall Cross on no particular schedule. His office there is small and out of the way. So let's figure out who D really is. Could be Arm Rinfield, the current Lord Godalming. It could be Lucy Westerna. Could be Dracula's bride. That's great. Thank you so much for those raids. It's greatly appreciated. And I need to figure out how this relates to Daequan being a duke and being powerful. I like the idea of the actual mastermind being Lucy Westerna. She's immortal, she's a vampire. Let's get back to where we were. A little nonsense now and then, relished by the wisest men. Let's go back. Alright. So, that settles it, I think. D is Lucy Westerna. I like that, too, because one of Dracula's brides is actually attempting to control Dracula as well. The main researcher is John L. Draws. So, Draws could be on the Proserpine. So, this is like the main researcher. So, you could be he could be George Stoker. We actually wrote the current Van Helsing. I like that idea too. We'll make Dr. Draws the vampire researcher. probably George Stoker. So, Daequan is probably Elvis. And the Elvis they met was someone working beneath Daequan. Yeah, yeah. I like to bring the folks from the past, especially if it's consistent. So we already know that Quincy Morris from the 1894 crew is a vampire as well. We know that Dracula turned him. Turns out Daequan's hound. So we'll switch one of these dukes to Daequan. So Elvis is a decent one, but we've already used Elvis. Elvis is familiar, but we'll probably switch it over. Let's see who Ian is. A thin whip-like man with a shaven head, plentiful tattoos, and 6 silver teeth. Ian is clearly a Russian mafia killer. Detects his specific city origins is Kazan. What does he do? That's what I'm trying to figure out. What does he do? We've seen the Hound. We've seen Fort. We've seen Elvis. So that leaves Ian, Nails, Oaks, Osprey, Pearl, Prince, Tyler. Tyler might be one. The 1894 vampire. Ten men. I'm thinking Tyler's a candidate. Nails is a killer. I think Nails is what they might refer to Daequan as. Apologies for drinking my water. I've got to hydrate. It's the only way. It's the only way. So, let's take a look at not Nails the individual, but what Nails' main job is. So, athletics, explosive, shooting, weapons training. This is pretty good. Nails Jatheth. And we will take a screenshot of that and add it. Daequan is known as Duke Nails. Wants to be a vampire, but Daequan doesn't want to be a vampire. So I think the idea here, since Nails is a very good combatist, it would make sense that Daequan as well, being a good at combat. And what we'll do now is we'll just look through the book and see if there's other instances of Nails being mentioned. There are 21 locations in the book. The satanic cult of Dracula. This is explaining that Nails would have switched sides against the coast. Hey, good to see you, Justice. How are you, my friend? So we know that Nails, as a duke, was able to turn. Let's see this. So the drug boss would working under Elvis. So it may be that Daequan has some other contacts. And we can use one of these individuals to potentially... We can use some of these individuals to connect to Daequan's adventure. So let's see. As Hopkins. Hopkins isn't dead, though. So Nails will show up at certain locations. Well, hey, this is the place to do that. If you want to get into the Russian Zalazhny Quartet or deal with our Rusvari Zhigari, Romanian cults, this is what we're doing. This is for the finale, Dracula's Mill. So for the finale, there's a chance Nails shows up. Likewise, the enemy of my enemy is my friend now. Given the high stakes of this capstone, this is kind of what we're getting into. We're moving in our... Edom wants Dracula back under control, and Nails has his own reasons for wanting to find Dracula and make him willing to use Edom resources even without sanction. Okay. Dracula's Mill is an interesting... It's like a ethereal waterfall. It's where Dracula goes to be made whole. But there's so many enemies there. It's like a supernatural waterfall that will heal Dracula and keep him immortal. You have to go through all of these entry vectors. It's essentially, yeah, thus downward from a bank precipitate, we found resounding that dark tinted water, so that it soon the ear would have offended. I had a cord around about me girt, and therewithal Willem had designed to take the panther with the painted skin. So, yeah, there's this vortex of telluric power that Dracula goes to heal at. And you have to go through the forest, get up, climb the frozen climb, get to the waterfall, and then in the eye of the whirlpool, there's Dracula. There's a stone table, and beneath it is actually Dracula's tomb. Jetheth. So there's actually... Nails is a very good one. They're just going to know... You know, Daequan is essentially the assassin. So here's the things we know. I think we're going to kind of retcon that Daequan's friends are kind of kept more or less in isolation. While they fell in the vampire invasion, they were also saved. They weren't turned. They didn't die. They didn't become undead. They're being held someplace out of reach. Protected. All right. So this is probably a pretty good... I need more time to figure out that Hopkins connection. I think we need to check out the see this. The Proserpine is naval ratings or an equivalent special ops SPS team. Are the operation's main outside actors, along with the Dukes of Edom. Da, 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 da. Let's figure out. Yeah, they're using them as leverage. Similar to how Colette, Jisoo's partner, is being used as leverage in some sense. It's a thorny issue, as my friend Colin would say. Who is Arlon? It's going to be a German. Encased in glass. It's Orlok's cousin. We'll add a note that Arlon might be a opposition force. On the Proserpine. Dr. Dawes is there. Lon is there. Mandragoras. We'll copy her photo over just so we know and add a page note that it's on page 62. Yeah, I believe, yeah, she was a German asset in the 1940s, but yeah, that's very much like kind of like a flapper look. The American vampire could be there. I like the American vampire, but probably won't be. James Brown, American vampire. The Jinglos could be there. Yeah, there's other more international vampires as well. Terra could be there. We haven't touched any of that, though. Ooh. So this informant could be there. Who else? We know that Hopkins is there. So Hopkins is important because she's the one that has the deepest knowledge of the conspiracy and the one that overturned all the information and documents to the players. The madman. I'm in so much pain right now. I'm sorry, everyone. Let's see what else we have. So this is blood deliveries. This is good. HGD shipping. So Proserpine. Blood from Axel Logistics. Transport and support from HGD Shipping. Ha ha ha. So the players can get in contact with these individuals and figure out, you know, they can use Daequan as a Duke. Dukes have all access, but they're not, you know, there's checks and balances, so there's still some work that'll have to be done. They could even hitch a ride. Nox Therapeutics, the biotech company. Exeter! Alright. This is trying to help give us information where the Proserpine is. So these things we did in our last prep session, we figured out how to get there and what all might be there. So here's what we've sort of established for the beginning. So let's talk about this in terms of beats. One, which direction to go? It's going to be Castle Dracula, Dead House, Proserpine. The Dead House is actually a good one to do if they don't go there. We've already prepped Dead House twice, though. Route to get in for each. Ileana has ways into Castle Dracula. Daequan has the insight to get into HMS Proserpine. And then Antal has the research that enables them access to Dead House. The Dead House is in Munich. Let's see if some water will help reduce my pain. All right. And essentially here, we'll need to figure out, since this is going to be warm, and we've already taken the screenshots of the maps on the inside, the 3 levels. This is Edom's, so I think it's very important for us to go through this section of it being warm and figure it out for ourselves. This is Edom's vampire containment facility, so we know that. Accommodations depend on whether the vampire is an Edom asset or a prisoner. If the vampire is an asset, her chamber is a strange, surreal blend of 1970s industrial construction and the decor and furnishings of her native time. If the vampire is a prisoner, her situation is less ambivalent. A vampire that Edom intends to brainwash or break into an asset might have a coffin room. It is an active Black Ops based. Security's better, but it looks like they want people to come in. So, let's see. Deceptively easy to approach. Tight security inside. Mechanical sidebar. +1 to all difficulties inside. So the game is harder to play when you get in there. Everything is a little more difficult, a little more challenging. I like that kind of very subtle dynamic difficulty. To make it even harder, if an alarm is triggered. They could very well get captured and they'll have to escape. Let's talk about these connections. We're actually going to copy and paste them into our prep. You come over here. So, let's see. So we know... We already know they know how to get there. They haven't met the sculptor. The lamplighter knows how to get there. The lamplighter's there. They actually know him. Tarbur is with the lamplighter. We know it's not the operational headquarters. Yeah, we can have much of the conspiracy's map. That's why they're going to want to get there. So it'll have... That answers a big question. This is why reading the books are important. So... maps the entire conspiracy, even more than the vampire. So that's why you go there. They will get the game plan they need by going to... All right. The native... We'll have to decide if the West Staring Brooch is there. Could very well be. Let's look back in our book. So... yeah, that's essentially it. We are going to need to start setting up Castle Dracula again. Originally, we set up Castle Bran. Currently, I'm undecided if that's the direction we go in. But we need to pick a castle, and the players are going to have a big fight against Dracula there. And Dracula's going to escape to the mill, and then the mill's going to set up the finale of the episodes. So, that's 2 questions answered. So we know that Daequan's known as Nails. Nails is the master hitman, military strategist, assassin, who uses, firearms and explosives. Daequan is responsible for the elimination of dangerous targets and threats. Now, Alright, so this is kind of like them getting cheat codes. We have a, seductive vampire to thwart them. We've already done seductive vampires. We should probably have the American vampire. We should probably have James Brown be there. That shows a different side of a vampire. Plus, it's the 4th of July, so we should have the American vampire on the 4th of July. Duh! I mean, we're talking... I'll pull it up for y'all. Okay, we're talking James Brown, Rocky IV, living in America. That is our vampire. The reason I mentioned that is because, you know, we'll show you here. American vampire. I mean, he's cool as hell. We should have the American vampire. I'll get Ember Moon to play the WWE wrestler Ember Moon to play the American vampire. Just be a badass with beautiful hair. That's what it's all about. We're doing the American vampire on the 4th of July. That's great. Alright, my pain levels are hitting to the point where... I mean, that's the whole thing. We may have to postpone a session. I'm not going to be able to see the endodontist, whatever, the oral surgeon until Wednesday. And I am in, like, tearing up pain right now. Yeah, we will have a badass vampire. I'll talk with the players. It's one of these things. I just love my players so much, and I love playing with them a lot. I'm taking some meds now, but we're at the point where anti-inflammatories and pain meds are having no effect. And we're relying completely on my tolerance. So, this is interesting because in this prep session, we've determined a couple of things. We've determined the head of Edom is in fact Dracula's bride, Lucy Westerna. Let me, you know, we decided we were going to have Lucy there. Instead of it being Lucy, it will be the American vampire. Lucy's still in the campaign. Lucy has been promoted. We figured out who Daequan is as a duke, and that Daequan's soldiers are being used as leverage. Thank you so much, Cat Who Walks. I'm trying my very best to stick it out. It's why I'm wearing an Aloha shirt today. I'm happy. These cheeks are round because they're swollen. All right. If they had treated my tooth today and pulled it and gave me meds, I'd be good to run for sure. Let's double check on George Stoker. Army doctor. This is a very nice source of notes. So this is decent for a for prep. The next things that we need to do is we need to figure out some of the opposition forces. So we'll figure this out. So HMS Proserpine ratings are the standard enemy to face on the Proserpine. The American vampire is the vampire being held. And there's a clue that Ileana gave about the first being held in the Proserpine. That might have been referenced, because if D is in fact Lucy Westerna, then D can in fact be... D's in charge of all of Edom. So, that works out. The American vampire is being held there. So we have our 4th of July, living in America, American vampire named James Brown. That's actually in the book. The real name of the American vampire is James Brown. And I think the logistics to get in, and there's going to be Dr. Dawes is the chief Edom opposition, and then the rewards down of the Conspiramid, location of Castle Dracula confirmed. So, and we'll talk about why this is important now. So, for those of you new to the game, Gumshoe and Night's Black Agents use a pyramid. There's two. There's the Conspiramid and the Vampiramid. The Conspiramid is essentially the various levels of the conspiracy leading all the way up to Dracula. From local neighborhoods, like if there is a gang in the neighborhood and the gang is going around robbing blood banks, local like small like blood donation wagons, that gang is probably stealing the blood and giving it to someone. Then there's city level, for, you know, there in Romania there was the town of Bistritia, and that was a place. Then they impacted the more provincial aspects. They ran into various Romanian mafia in Ruvari Gigani. You go higher up, you start dealing with dukes and things like that, CIA agencies, all the way up to vampires. So, for our next session, we are going to give our players a fully filled out, this is a sample one, Conspiramid. Now, when the players go up against the Conspiramid, there's a Vampiramid that explains how Dracula responds when they mess with it, or Edom responds if they mess with it. So Edom might attempt to kill an agent or turn them into a vampire if they fail. Dracula is going to definitely retreat and hole up in his castle because he sees the war coming to him. And the location of Castle Dracula is the next one, which I think is page 127. No. .207. Which we need to figure out. Yeah, so what they're going to do is they're going to have leads. And the thing is, they have a lot of ins. Because they met Tarber, Tarber gave them a bunch of information on people. The Conspiramid will give broader organizations, and people may be connected to members of the conspiracy to help them come up with a clever approach to deal with Castle Dracula. When they get to Castle Dracula and they try to face him the first time, Dracula will most likely fake his own death and flee to Dracula's mill, where they will have to chase him down and finish him off. But his strongest allies and greatest threats are in that death trap. And I'm pretty sure Castle Brown is Castle Dracula. And we have maps for it the same way we have for the Proserpine. So this is our prep today. Hope you enjoyed it. You know, we prep for about an hour. I'm going to let my players know that we may need to postpone the session. I hate to do it, but if I'm not going to be treated till next Wednesday, then I'm concerned Because even right now, going for an hour, Well, thank you. I'm trying. So follow me on Twitter at WisePapaGrant if you want my thoughts on games. Again, if you want 20% off all Knights Black Agents products, look below this video on YouTube in the comments section. We are sponsored by Pelgrane Press for this. This is the Knights Black Agents game, which is a vampire spy thriller game, and we are currently playing the Dracula Dossier, and our soundtrack, Dust and Mirrors, is provided through Pelgrane. Thank you. Have an excellent evening. Goodbye.